Ladies and gentlemen, I am Greg Blythe, and as always, this is never a dull moment. Today, I can guarantee you it will not be a dull moment, because today, in Never a Dull Moment Kitchen Stadium, we have the incredible Hap Stanley. Thanks for coming on the show.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for wearing the apron, by the way.
No problem. That looks great. Do I get to take it home?
I don't have two of them, but I'll see if my guy can get us another one with your logo on it.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. So for all of you guys who don't know, this American sharpening supply maker has been an industry leader for more than 30 years. He's been in charge of other products for other companies, and then he went out and said, I can still do it better. And he's always actually voiced his concerns for industry standards like uniform, grit count, things that are just kind of not out there. But another thing that you and I discussed was quality of the abrasives. A lot of times is an issue, like who we're procuring them from. Having the standard be that every particle be the same size and we're not getting random particles. The certain types of adhesive that's bonding the abrasive qualities. I noticed that even in the diamond resin stones, I mean, am I going to say this right? It's not hydrophobic, it's hydra something. It loves water. It's hydrophilic. So you're even conscious of little things like that, which goes in your products. On the show, over a period of time, we've been able to procure most of the nanohone products. Some of them were given to us by one of our sponsors, Tokishu Knife. Tony and Zach have taken care of us. Some of the things have been purchased over a period of time, but some things are debuting on the show with us today that we have not had, and we get to install them today for the very first time and see how, they're still in the box from the Blade Show. And by the way, there'll be some clips added, a little B-roll from the Blade Show, and there'll be a completely separate video we're putting out of Hap at the 2023 Blade Show.
Oh, thank you.
He's got a couple of new things that he showed at the Blade Show. I might have to allude to them as we talk about some products. But we've got a knife out for him to show a jointing technique?
Yes.
Joining or jointing?
Jointing. Jointing.
So we're going to see a jointing technique. He is going to be replacing my Cas Fly today with the nanohone sink bridge. We will be using for the very first time for a lapping stone. We've been using the NL8, which I think is pretty fine. So we picked up a much coarser NL4, and the weight difference is significant between the two.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and this has been a fixture on the show for quite a while.
All right.
And you'll even notice like everything just fits like right in it. It's like set.
Yeah.
So we're going to be removing the Cas Fly today, and we're going to let you install the sink bridge. We appreciate it. So fresh out of the box, not even opened.
So the hardest thing is opening the box.
I was going to say, because your propensity to making sure everything at a nano level fits made it.
Yeah, my boxes do fit kind of tight, I agree. And the trick usually is to open both ends of the box.
A little air.
And then push it out.
Okay.
Instead of just open one end and trying to get it out. But,
okay.
But I also try to use the same box for multiple products, which saves us a little bit of.
So should let everybody see what's going on. So on the bottom of the sink bridge, what do we have going on here?
Well, we've got all the parts inside, so I'm going to have to open the end of it.
I did not even know that.
So we'll pull the cap out, and there should be a little package of parts.
Do both ends open, by the way, or just?
Yeah, you could open both ends, but you don't need to.
Okay.
So we'll just, get the parts out of here, and then there's. Oh boy! There we go. Push that a little more down. There we go. Cardboard comes out. Now this is free and sliding inside. And so this is the adjustment feature. And so we'll just slide it right back in there. And we'll go to the parts package.
Do you need a knife?
No, I don't need anything. We always need a knife for something. Who doesn't need a knife?
Velcro, zipper bag, I don't know.
Right, and so we'll put the main screw there. We have 4 of these little posts. These are the same posts that we use on the stage over here.
Okay.
I'm just going to thread a couple of them in here, like that. Put another one in here, like that.
So today, Hap has chosen the Hado white steel Guto. It's not that tall. It's been used a couple times for cooking. Still got a decent edge on it. I mean, it's got some bite to it. Well, if he wants to dull it or not, that's up to him. We've got the stone out to dull it.
Well, we'll use my jointing technique on it first before we get started. So I'll show you how that goes here in a second. I'm going to put it on the shortest distance. It's really designed for an undermount granite sink. That was the sink that I really designed.
And so before the show's over, please stay tuned to the end, because after we learn some technique, we're actually going to just walk over to the sink and resize it for the sink.
Yeah, we can do that real easily. So the way this works, it just has this one knob on top, and it slides this way, and it slides independently of the lock that catches in the sink. So you can put it down over the sink and slide it up to the other side till it stops, and then just reach down and pull these back, and then we can adjust this for distance, how far we want or close we want the stone to us.
And that, tightening that tightens these?
It locks everything in place. So
nice.
This doesn't move. You know, these are threaded into their own. So it's just one knob to control everything, and the knob is then, or post is then covered by the stage, so there's no place for water to get inside.
It's very stealthy.
Very stealthy.
Very stealthy.
You know, and we can put the end cap back in like that, and so it's, you know, it's locked right in. Now this is going to move a little bit, but if you put it
that's the polycarbonate just given a little bit.
Yeah, if you put it on the granite though, you'll have
absolutely
no movement whatsoever.
So for those of you at home who don't know, so this is just a polycarbonate restaurant supply device. It does have a little bit of give, and it would slide on my countertop. We have a non-stick like kitchen cabinet liner to make it not slide, but it does have a little bit of give.
And so we can set it. For me, this is a little high, but that's all right. We'll be fine.
I don't have the adjustable stand like you do.
Nah, that's all right.
So you're going to...
doesn't adjust.
So I tell you what, before we get started, just to showcase something else too,
Sure.
we have in the other long boxes the newly picked up nanohone strop. I don't know if we'll get to use it today, but at least we're pulling it out right here. This is a 3-micron diamond resin strop. So the diamonds are monocrystalline or polycrystalline?
Monocrystalline.
Okay, and so we can hold it by hand here.
Yep.
Or can we just sit it on the counter? Is that not an option?
But you can hook it across your sink, literally. I'm not going to stick it down the water here, but you could, if this were your sink, just put it right there across the sink.
Okay.
It would lock in on the other side. You can hold it here and support it.
And this is the longer of the two.
This is the longer of the two. And a lot of my customers, or quite a few of them, like to just put it right down on the counter and use it down on top of the counter. If you're right-handed, you'd probably be on the far side.
Okay, the size micron that this strop comes in, I got the 3-micron.
Yeah, there's a 1-micron below that.
Okay, and I know you were selling out of those at the show.
Yep.
Selling out a lot of things at the show, which is a
good
good problem to have.
We did have a good show.
What we plan to do with this particular strop, for those of you who have seen, we call it that we had a series called the Shibata style. We had a video called Shibata style, which Hap says he's been doing that style before. He doesn't even know Shibata is. So he's been kind of doing it or whatever, which is, you will see that after I put like a super fine edge on, going back and individually, not stropping on the 3-micron, but actually making individual perfectly planned strop technique on there. And with that, we get some teeth, which will give us teeth on the one side and smooth on the other, and that'll give us a little bite, say, into the skin of a blueberry, a tomato, the fatty tissue of a steak. And so if you have something like that and you need the teeth without getting too crazy, so we don't have teeth falling out and pitting and cracking the knife. So we planned to kind of use this in that way. And eventually we'll pick up the 1 micron so we can have like a normal strop and something long, especially for my 300 millimeter knives and my 270 millimeter continuous flow. So I'm glad we got the man himself to showcase that for us. So he wants to show us this jointing technique.
All right.
And so he's picked up a 1000 or
I picked up a
400.
Well, this is a 35 micron, and it falls in the 400 grit range.
Ish.
Well, grits are ranges. Grits are never a specific particle size.
Okay.
If you go to the National Standards Institute, Abrasive Standards Institute, and look at their website and their charts,
for you as well.
You'll notice that, let's say, a 2000 grit stone is any stone between 3 and 10 microns.
Okay.
So any abrasive between 3 and 10 microns is considered 2000 grit. That's a range.
That's a huge range.
It is. It's a big range. And today we have really good microscopes, measuring microscopes. We can measure particles in 3D, not just just guessing at the width, but we can literally look at the entire particle and get a mean average for the particle size. That's way more accurate.
I know your boxes are very accurate.
Yeah. I won't go into that too much, but
I'm gonna get this lapping plate out so we can see this lapping plate since we got it. I got a pencil for you.
Yeah.
In case you want to draw on it. They're a trick.
We can't use like in front of the morning.
Yeah, that one's really, you're having a tough time. I don't want to get this wet.
Well, it's measured to the nano, right? So for those of you who don't know, nano is super fine. And so
I just usually open these.
Oh, he got it. He's got a little more technique. He's a little more used to it.
I don't know. I just tore it. So
I think I tore it first. I
think we're just going to give up on that. So now just push it out.
Okay.
There you go.
So I have been using this NL8, and so that has buttons in it with diamonds, and you can use that on every type of material, but it's not super aggressive. It's diamond, so it'll cut through anything.
Oh, it's a fine diamond.
Yeah, it's a fine diamond. So take a look at this reflective, beautiful, blingy bad boy.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's 130 micron.
Which is like...
That's big, like 100 grit.
There you go.
110, 120 grit, something like that.
I like it.
It's coarse.
I like it.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to put that on your 10,000 grit stone. It'll really leave
It'll take it away.
deep scratches.
But I've got some older stones from other people's, part of my stone collection that have some dishing that need a minute.
Well, you know what I recommend for that is a brand new cinder block.
Well, I was going to get something super aggressive.
Cinder blocks are surprisingly flat. Get a cinder block, put some sand on it. Those stones that have a big dip in them, work them on the cinder block before you put them on precision tools.
There you go. You heard another
tip
trick
of the day there.
We exclusive, so we got that. I'm gonna let him do his thing. We've been teaching not to put the lapping plate sideways because you might teeter and wear away on one side of the stone. So we make them keep it like that.
Well, and then chamfer. Can't get my words out today. Been talking too much at the blade show all weekend, and just chamfers. We're ready to go. That's very nice. That stone looks beautiful, and feel the surface of it now that we've hit it with that.
Oh yeah.
It really feels
nice.
rough.
It's got some bite. That's a good word for it.
Right. So let's pretend, I don't want to wreck this pretty knife, but let's pretend that this knife has a chip right here in the center.
Okay.
Now, to get that chip out, we're going to need to remove metal over the whole length of the blade down to the bottom of that chip.
Yes.
And if I just worked the back of it, for instance, you'd end up with a flat diving into a curve.
Okay.
And if you want to maintain this beautiful fair curve line, you're going to have to, bring everything down to the bottom of that chip, parallel to the edge that's there now.
Yeah, continuously, all the way to the curve of the belly and everything.
Yeah, and if it's a fairly significant chip, what I do is take a compass, a cheap plastic compass with a pencil in it, and I literally use the metal pin of the compass and ride along.
Okay.
And I draw a line.
You draw a new parallel.
That's right, the length. And I do it to the depth of the deepest chip.
Okay.
And then I take everything down to that.
Yeah, because then you don't have to think about it. You can see the line of where you're going.
That's right. And I use my jointing technique to do that. So I literally, see, I'm not going straight this way.
Yes.
Because that will leave a groove in the stone.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is going across.
I see that. Yeah, that's definitely not what I thought initially. So I'm glad that you pointed that out.
Right. So that way I've now put a flat on it. And if I had deep nicks, I would just grind away just like that.
Okay.
Down to that pencil line that I put on with the compass.
Okay.
So that is one
I
way.
like seeing it going across the stone is very helpful, because I would have literally thought what you said, that you were cutting an actual ditch into the thing. So it's nice to see you kind of scrape across.
Right, just going right across this way.
You got to know your pressure to do that too.
To do it, yeah.
And so you're using the 35 micron. Is that what
35 micron to do that. I might have used the 200.
Sure.
If it's really bad, I would even use my diamond.
I got the 100 micron right there.
Well, I have a 250 micron diamond surfstone, which is like a ripper.
Oh,
I mean, that thing.
I haven't got it, but I looked at it.
That thing is a real grinder. That's a portable
But I
cordless
looked
grinder.
at it. Yeah.
It's, so it depends. I pick the tools according to the, the damage and the work that needs to be done. But so we put a flat on here. We definitely have a flat. I'm going to feel it along here. I definitely have created a flat where we had a nice sharp edge.
For those of you who don't know, Carter Cutlery, Murray, and all of the people who apprenticed and went on to do their own thing, I mean, this is the system that they use. I mean, of course, they have sanders and stuff like that, but he's been a big fan and proponent of these stones. We got our dog talking in the back in case you get and everything.
Giving him a hard time.
But because we always see these three fingers on the blade with him.
Yeah.
3 fingers, and Ryan Swanson too, like the 3 fingers.
Yeah, I think Ryan learned it from Murray.
He did.
And I've been doing it many, many years. I use 4 fingers. I like to close my eyes. I like to kind of close my eyes and just kind of imagine the edge there as I'm.
Just don't cut your finger off.
Well, as long as you got your thumb here, But at this stage, you're not really going to get cut because I just blunted it pretty good.
Okay.
So we'll start out now by thinning the edge, and I'm going to put it on here.
Now, do you normally have the knife somewhat vertically pointed, because you have it across the stone, but you're not this far?
So I may go that far, but right now I'm just trying to thin behind the edge.
Okay.
Would you mind if I actually drop the stone down to the counter height here? So I'm just going to slide.
Okay, hold on. Let me help you with that.
Slide this over.
Now, do we want just the stone itself?
I think just the stage.
Okay.
At this point, because I'm getting so much movement here with the, and if I can.
Yeah, we'll move that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I can. This won't move at all. And look at that. Now I'm down at a height that's. I like to work about 2 inches over my navel.
Sure.
So that's the secret. That's where my navel is. So, all right. So we'll.
So for those of you who don't know, obviously there's some adhesives on the bottom, some rubber or silicone on the bottom that's preventing it, and it's weighted. That the stone holder itself has significant weight to help keep it in place.
You can see I'm able to put so much more, shoulder into this now, and nothing's moving, and so now I can effectively thin this right down.
So he is thinning and technically sharpening at the same time.
Well, I'm not really rolling into the edge yet.
Yep.
Right now, I'm just kind of, thinning right behind the blade. And then just turn that stone. Let's get a little more water up here. So I don't really worry about taking water from the trough at the coarse grit level. At the fine grit level,
Yeah, you don't want to put.
I'm only going to use new water.
Yep.
Okay, and then we'll flip over to this side.
You got your shoulder into it, right? Got some pressure going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still not quite as thin as I'd like to be, and I haven't lifted up yet to so we'll see what we got for.
I'm going to point out to those watching on camera the different finger positions of his free hand. We got sometimes his 2 fingers on, then he opened his hand up. He had the thumb on the back, and I've never done that myself. So
so now we can see some forging things going on. See, it's a little
low
bit,
and some high.
some low and some high here. You know, starting to come out, and the weld line's just beautiful on this knife.
This is your first time holding one of those Hado.
Yeah, I've never sharpened this knife before.
So this is a Yoshikazu Tanaka forged knife.
So I'm gonna turn right here. Go ahead.
Okay, and then Hado Corporation Company, their big thing is their in-house sharpeners, and so you have a myriad of different sharpeners that are available. But the owner of Hado himself has trained some people that has turned out to be some of the best sharpeners. They've been around for a long time. They had a different first name, and I can't say their name. It was like Owl. So it sounds weirder than, you know, but and then suddenly they switched to Hado and kind of rebranded with that name, and they're making a big splash this past
Is
year.
it Hato, like a pigeon?
Like Hado.
Hado.
Hado means way. Ha
Hado.
means I don't know.
Hado. Ha, or knife edge. Ha is knife edge.
Okay.
Do.
Do is way.
All right, the way of the edge, maybe the way of the knife. Hado. Never heard that. That's interesting.
Well, no, that's one version of sharpening / thinning that I don't do. No, that's experience. You saw me start off really slow and then get faster over the years. So he's lifting at the other end. He's grinding forward, edge trailing.
It's all edge
and then
trailing.
he's lifting up.
It's all edge trailing. Go slow. There we go. So. Okay, so I've broken through the apex all the way. Yeah, everywhere. So we've basically set this up now to sharpen. I would like to thin it a little more and work out, you know, down to there, but we'll
got to leave me something to do when you
leave
leave.
something to do there.
I took all the trouble of setting this up, so we'll make a mess.
But that's beautiful. It feels really good.
And I'll get to use the new sink bridge.
All right, you want to feel that?
It's like therapy
that
for Greg.
So let's do it his way. Oh yeah,
feel the teeth?
I feel the teeth right there. Like boom,
Right,
it was instant.
yeah.
Yep.
So we've gone right through, and I'll just go ahead and clean up after myself here a little bit.
So when some people use these rust erasers to kind of clean the stone, you said just grab the lapping plate, one of the lapping plates.
Yeah, I use the lapping plate constantly. And you'll see that, you know, there's some metal and stuff down there. There's a fairly porous stone. So you're going to see metal going down.
But seeing it doesn't mean that you've loaded up and you're not cutting.
No, we're not loaded up. We're not, you know, the pores are fairly deep. I mean, it's a coarse grit stone, and
there's space between the,
There's a lot of space between the particles. So the bigger the particle, the more air and space there is between.
Okay.
The smaller the particle, the tighter they pack. Yeah. So less air. And so they tend to look whiter and cleaner when they're finer. So let's just jump up then. We'll just go right to the 15 micron. So from 35, we'll go down to 15.
So for those of you who don't know, that's the 1,000 grit range. Now, would you do that every time? Like, if you knew the stone was flat, would you just get a slurry?
Well, there's these stones, all ceramic, man-made stones. We call them hot press stones. They're made in a mold that's heated, and the press comes down and puts pressure on the mold, and the whole thing's heated. And there really is a top and a bottom to the stone. And all of these stones have a tendency to move a little bit.
Okay. Wow.
So you can use a stone all day, get it wet, it's real relaxed. Leave it in the garage all night, it's super dry, and the stone moves and tenses up a little bit. So you get it wet, you get some water into it, it relaxes. It relaxes. Some stones, like they have magnesium in them, for instance, move more.
Okay.
We did not choose to use magnesium in nanohone stones for a lot of reasons, but that's one of the big ones right there, is that it has a big
propensity
expansion coefficient. So I wanted a very limited one, but still, you can soak these stones, leave them in water 6 months, no problem.
Permastone.
Splashing goes fine too. But I think, to your question, getting a little water onto them, getting them to relax a little bit. They're hydrophilic, some water will go in. Hit them with the lapping plate, get nice and flat. Now we're ready to go.
And we got fresh water here in case you need it over here in this whenever it's time.
Yeah, we'll start going for fresh water, I think. And now let's see how that that hamon starts coming into view now.
Definitely a different sound.
Yeah, this is a much finer stone. This is the beginning of polishing. My 1,000 is finer than most people's. So my 15 micron really is 15 microns. It's and that means it's going to be a finer grit than most people are expecting.
Well, there are some other companies that their 1,000 or other stones are more aggressive because they purposely kind of misnumber, and people think like, oh, this 1,000 or whatever is so aggressive, but they should just call it what it is, like an 800 or something like that. And in the end, it's it's not just that it takes material off. It's how does it leave the edge? How does it wear away? Is it even? If the scratch mark's uniform? And so that was your goal, is just being even.
I want to be micron size accurate to the best of my ability. So I want these things to be uniform. Now, I want to show you something here. Greg, I think you'll find it interesting. Okay, so I have created a burr, and the burr is turned over. I've created a burr from this side of the knife, and it's turned over to this side. And if you feel it from this side, you're going to feel nothing.
Sure, because it's hanging over.
If you feel it from this side, you're going to feel a burr all the way along there.
And you were telling me at the show, you don't want people to take their thumb and move it down, because they're wiggling the burr. And in wiggling the burr, they're creating heat, and then they're changing kind of the composition heat-wise on the edge.
Just like bending a coat hanger till it breaks.
So we don't want to manipulate that burr and flip it over.
That's right.
And you like to kind of get it off.
I will take it off right now. But before I take it off, I think of the burr very much like a comb, just the comb that you comb your hair with. So the edge at any grit level is really just like a comb. It has tines.
Okay.
And those tines, if you're next to each other this way, they're very, very strong because they're supporting each other.
Yes.
Right? But in this direction, the tines are very fragile. So when I feel the burr, I feel along the burr this way.
You're kind of raking it north to south a little bit.
Right. And go ahead and feel that. See what you think. See if you can feel the burr I created.
I remembered feeling it at the show. Yeah, right there was where I could tell there was the particles that were, and they're even coming off on my.
Yeah, it's a pretty big burr. It's a pretty good sized burr.
Yeah.
So I'll just stand that burr. No, not really stand it up, but just roll it over like that, just a little more. And now I'm going to put it on this side, and I'm going to come into it a little bit and pinch it. So as I come down here. You see that very dark line right there?
Yes, sir.
That's the burr coming off. And if you notice, you can see a little bit of the burr just kind of floating there.
Okay.
You can get it in the light. Can you get all the way down there to that? You can see it kind of just the metal kind of just floating there. But feel it now. And you shouldn't really feel a burr on either side.
I can literally see the stuff on the edge now, though.
Yeah, that's what we just knocked off.
Yeah, I see it, though.
But it also is still standing up. You can still see burr material out here at the edge.
You can see it's lighter in color on the edge.
Yeah.